press freedom is the touchstone of all the other liberties of the citizen, and therefore should be the concern of every human being.
Lateef Jakande is a name that cannot be forgotten in a hurry. Born in 1929, Alhaji, who made a name for himself in the media industry, went on to serve as governor of Lagos State between 1979 and 1983, and that to perhaps be categorized as one of the single most successful administrations in Nigerian politics. On this episode, we celebrate an enigma who passed on the 11th of February 2021, as we take you through a timeline of activities by the family and state government in the 40 days that followed his passing. As the news slowly filters through, you see the gates here being flooded by Lagosians who have come in to pay their last respect to the former governor of Lagos State, Lateef Jakande. His widow and close relatives are left in a grim mood after his shocking demise. His son says Chief Jakande was well and in a good spirit only the day before.
Yesterday he validated his membership of the All Progressive Congress yesterday. And this morning it was up, but it was up with a bit of fever, but nothing really serious. I think it must be about 11. Yeah, I received a call that it was not responding.
To well-wishers and sympathizers, the life of Baba, as I so fondly call him, is an inspiration to all young politicians, and all of his attributes is one that everyone must learn to imbibe.
An architect of a pioneer Lagos State, and an architect for modern Lagos. We lost a torchbearer, we lost a father, we lost a leader, we lost a link from the old and the past.
It's not self-serving. Can you imagine? You have all known Jakande to be living there only for donkey years now. Now that he hasn't got the means to live in a Korea Park life or live a more costly life.
It was from here he did all his works. Just as Chief Awolowo did. He governed from his home. He will go from here to his home, to the office and return. We are looking for somebody who was determined to serve the people to the best of his ability. Look, the housing, the low-cost housing that Lateef Jakande established, they are unmatchable. Jakande was the founder of Nigerian Union of Journalists at Ikeja now. He scored many firsts. His immediate friends, the last of them, both Balarabe Musa and Alhaji Muhammad Goni, died just 2 years ago. So we have come to the end of an era.
Baba is said to be given a befitting burial on Friday, but all eyes will be keen on how government at state and federal level will honor a man whose legacy will forever be in the history books. Wilson Omoni, Silverbird News 24, Lagos. A few days later, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu visits the home of Alhaji Lateef Jakande. The governor says there is a lot to learn from the life of Alhaji for politicians at all levels.
At the right time and at the right age, he was called up to Almighty Allah. And I think that is a testimonial that he had lived a good life and he's been at peace with humankind and also with his creator, the way he also left us peacefully. And that reflects what LKJ has been to all of us, each and every one of us. Me personally, growing up, I remember too very well, how he came into power in 79. Before then, as a young man, as a young boy, you would have heard about him. But his sterling quality, when he had the opportunity to be the first civilian governor of Lagos State from 1979 to 1983, the quality, what he stood for, what he has done, still stands 40 years and beyond. And all of us can still see. Some of you are pretty young, probably were not opportune to be around then. But for some of us that actually tested his tenacity, his human kindness, his love for the poor, his genuine empathy, his resolve to ensure that the people he governed over get the very best are testimonials that we all still remember today and are very fresh in our memory. Alhaji Jakonde scored several firsts that even subsequent governors have not been able to match. And I say here with all sense of humility that indeed he's been a builder of our time. He's been a man that has laid the foundation of the Lagos that all of us are attempting and are trying to develop and put these layers on, and that indeed his exit cannot be easily quantifiable.
Dignitaries have gathered to honor the first civilian governor of Lagos State. It's been 8 days since his death, commemorating in this fidal prayers on Friday. The clerics have a clear message to the leaders who have gathered for this event to rise up to the occasion of Nigeria's challenges today.
I'm sure if Alhaji Jakonde were alive, he would have risen to the occasion. And the greatest challenge before us today is the challenge of security, security of lives and property, security, and the challenge of COVID-19. A twin challenge that is very rare. It only takes visionary leadership, leaders with vision and mission and vigor and the determination to succeed. That opportunity is beckoning.
The message resonates with those gathered, and the leader of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, agrees that unity is what is needed in these trying times.
We pray for Nigeria to give us more leaders that are prudent, that are very honest, that give priority to the future, looking at what will become the life of the children.
The serving governor of the state, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, says there is a lot to learn from the visionary leadership of Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, which left behind must be built upon.
The challenges that face Alhaji Jakonde 45 years ago are not the same challenge that we are facing here today. And so we need to think out of the box. We need to come up with better ideas to ensure that the challenges that is facing our country today, that we also can surmount it. It's a time for all of us in position of leadership to reflect and reflect good, to ask ourselves difficult questions. How are we using our time? How much of the opportunity God has given to us are we using well? How much life are we changing? And how are our policies and our decisions affecting the vulnerable in our society?
The state government has promised to hold a special event for the first civilian governor of the state, as plans for his immortalization remain in the works. Wilson Omoni, Silverbird News 24, Lagos. Born in 1929, the late Lateef Jakonde left his print on the sands of time until his passing at the age of 91. "40 days after his death, the state government, family, and other well-wishers have come to pay another round of tributes.
Romans 14, verse 8. For if we live for the Lord. And if we die for the Lord. So then, whether we live or whether we die, we are of the Lord." We are conducting a Christian service for a man that lived throughout his life as a Muslim believer. But because he was a detribalized man, he was a man that did not stand and say, "What is your faith?" before opening a school. He was a man that didn't ask, "What is your religion?" before giving you that opportunity to excel. He was a man that did not ask, "What is your tribe?" before he gave you that outstanding opportunity. And so we think he deserves everything. that we need to give for him.
The sermon focuses on the state and the need to ensure development, as this is the only way to actualize his dream.
A person does not have to be an angel or saint before being referred to as a righteous person. No wonder today we see Pa Jakonde, a righteous man, especially in the field of politics, where he wrote his name boldly and gloriously. The Bible submits that when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn.
While appreciating the efforts to immortalize the late former governor, family members and other well-wishers present called on other leaders to put the interests of the people first.
The likes of Baba Jakonde in Lagos at that time, we have Chief Bola Ige in Oyo State, Baba Michael Ajasin in those states, and Chief Bisi Onobanjo in Ogun State, and of course, Ambrose Ali in Edo State. They provided free education, and I'm one of the beneficiaries from 79 to 83. Free health services. So there is no way our generation will ever forget those people. It's going to be well with their children.
The state governor had recently announced plans to set up a leadership academy in recognition of a need to have more men and women in leadership like the late Lateef Jakonde. Wilson Omoni, Silverbird News 24, Lagos. The state continued to pay tribute to Alhaji Lateef Jakonde.
LKJ was a man of many parts, a journalist of repute, a great politician, an accomplished administrator, and a devoted father and a devoted husband. Indeed, LKJ was a detribalized Nigerian. He demonstrated forthrightness, a rare commodity in the political marketplace of his days. As we host a day of tributes for Lagos State first civilian governor, Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, there is a need for contemplation and reflection on legacies. What will your legacy be? What will be mine? What will be our legacy? From Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, we should learn that tomorrow belongs to them who dare to brave the odds and pitch their tent on the side of the large mass of the people. It is among the jury of the real Omoluabis that Alhaji Lateef Jakonde commands the position of standard bearer. Alhaji Jakonde is an unfallen Iroko tree long after his days. Its roots reaches deeper and deeper. Its shades broader and broader, offering shades and a place for birds to nest and human to take a shelter away from the scorching sun.
Babajide Sanwo-Olu, speaking at the event where schools established by the former governor of the state reviewed plans to set up a leadership academy in order to have more purpose-driven leaders within the state. The governor also promised to deliver a rail transport system within 18 months to honor the first civilian governor of the state.
The rail projects that he conceived 38 years ago, maybe not on the same alignment, but this current government will ensure that within the next 1.5 years, the Blue Line rail project that we see outside here will become available for the masses of Lagos. So to immortalize Alhaji Jakonde is an everyday activity for us as a government. But for me, is to say that we're going to set up an endowment that is going to be called the Lateef Kayode Jakonde Leadership Fellowship Academy. This is what we believe that the transformational leadership that Alhaji Jakonde stood for, that indeed we can create leaders of tomorrow on a year-on-year basis, have 20, 30 leaders that can stand and live the spirit and the aspiration of Alhaji.
After performing all funeral rites for the first civilian governor of Lagos, Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, it was time to celebrate his life and works and eulogize his achievements during his active days in politics. With dignitaries gathered, the preachers here seized the opportunity to call for exemplary leadership in a time of controversy across the country.
There is widespread insecurity, and occasions like this should prompt us to wakefulness.
For some of those gathered, it is a life well lived, with a lot of monuments to the Jakonde name.
The Lagos House of Assembly complex, which had no rival across the country, he built it within a year. He built the Lagos State University. He opened up all parts of Lagos. What he did in 4 years and 3 months, anyone who succeeds in doing same in 8 years will be called a very extraordinary government.
Good governance. You know, we are just coming from the shackle of oppressors. That's the military men. So ushering in a democratically elected person, people were looking for the best from them. But not now that they have to contend with so many challenges, both personal, unpersonal, some spiritual, some federal might, and a host of other vices.
The incumbent governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, hopes to groom more leaders like Alhaji, and the legislature have promised their support to ensure it has the requisite legal backing.
Anytime the governor brings in that bill, we will all be ready to pass it with the relevant scrutiny, because we are all in support of every step the government is taking to better the lot of our people and to also recognize our great leaders. Alhaji Lateef Jakonde was one of the wonderful people we had in Lagos.
The family are, however, still reeling from his absence. His leadership is one they have grown to rely on during such critical times as this.
It's a big vacuum. It's left a very, very big, giant shoe, to use that word of a shoe. Yeah, it's a giant shoe. You know, but we are comforted with a lot of goodwill. We're comforted that he actually came. He's lived a very, very fulfilled life, worthy of emulation by all standards.
His passing is one that has shaken the entire state, but his time in office is one that has ensured the state can withstand the pressures of the current times. As mentioned by the former Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, one of the first of Alhaji Lateef Jakonde was the Lekki Peninsula and the economic activities that abound in the area. Subsequent governments have given their bit to see to this idea becoming a reality. The incumbent governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, visited the area to monitor the progress gained and give a timeline of the completion of projects in the area. A delegation of the state executive had embarked on a 2-day visit to the free trade zone on the Lekki-Ajah axis of the state.
Yes, so you can see the lake also, which is surrounding the building.
Some of the investors here shed more light on the projects underway and its implications on the Nigeria economy.
It is something we believe is going to optimize the operations we currently do in the supply and distribution chain of the oil and gas sector. We also believe that it's going to also become a game changer in a way that we have not witnessed before. The reason is that we're going to be able to save a whole lot of cost by making sure that the ship-to-ship transfer, which is currently the norm in the industry, whereby we import through mother vessels, through large vessels, LR2, LR1, and then we'll keep lightering them. Sometimes it takes 15 to 30 days to completely lighter those mother vessels. We are, with what we have built here, we're able to discharge those mother vessels within 24 hours because we're at a water depth of, the CBM is at a water depth of 17.5 meters. We're able to take LR1 vessels, which are vessel sizes of 60,000 metric tons. The SPM, which will become operational in July, is sitting at a water depth of 23 meters and is able to take vessel sizes of up to 150,000 deadweight ton. The storage, as Mr. Governor has said, is going to be quickly ramped up to be able to optimize the value of those offshore intake facilities. So we expect that by the end of 2022, we should have up to 1 billion liter storage capacity.
The governor spoke of the opportunities that abound when the areas become fully functional.
The kind of investment that is happening in this corridor can indeed triple and quadruple the GDP of Lagos within the next 10 to 20 years. You know? And that's the kind of thing that needs to excite all of us. For us, is to come here and encourage all of you that you are not alone. You know, we're not leaving all of this to you alone. Whatever support that is required of government, whatever input that we need to bring on board, whatever conversations that we need to have, you know, for you to be able to do your job well, that's why we're here. Our citizens are male and female engineers and support staff are already in the conversation. And for me, that is the strongest point here. The strongest thing we reach here is a technology that is global but has a lot of local components and content into it. And that's what we need to take away to see that everything that we're about is about creating jobs for our citizens, it's about creating opportunity for our people, and it's about transforming and changing the landscape of the host community. And so I want to thank all of you, and I want to say to our young enterprising women and men that this is the future that you all need to take forward and hold this very, very strongly. Infrastructure development in this area by no means will happen. It has started happening. We can only take it, you know, to a greater height. And so I want to say that, and imagine that by the time we're leaving here tomorrow, our minds will have been blown up, will have been blown out, we will have seen things that we do not believe is happening, you know, in this part of the city, in this part of our state. We want to be sure that everybody all around there are on the same page, and we're about ensuring that we solve the issues, we resolve the issues, and we create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive, you know, and to do well.
While assessing the projects nearing completion in the axis, the state governor warned against allowing the repeat of similar bottlenecks which have plagued the Apapa seaport.
Like we have in Apapa, where it could take 30 days before you finish pumping, you know, a vessel of that size, because they'll be doing what we call transshipment. They'll be taking 5,000 liters, 15,000 liters. They'll be going and coming back. This can be done in 24 hours. You can see the capacity that I'm told here is about 230 million liters. 230 million liters. And the phase 2 of it is that they're planning to get up to 1 billion liters in the next year and a half. You've seen a port who will solve Apapa gridlock. You've seen an oil tanker, you know, facility to solve Apapa gridlock. But what are we doing is to ensure that we also can build road infrastructure that will make sure that this place doesn't look like Apapa in another 5 or 10 years.
A key investor in the free trade zone, Aliko Dangote, assures residents that the host communities will continue to remain in the employment and infrastructure plans around the trade areas.
We have about 36,000 workers here at site, and over 20,000 plus are all Nigerians, you know, some from the community and co. And then we are doing a lot of this fishing because it's a fishing community also, which we are buying boats and other things to give to the community, building schools, giving scholarships. So we are really going to do quite a lot, because even for us, this is our largest investment when you compare the entire group worldwide. So there is no way we will actually joke with the community.
The state governor also assures investors of needed government support to deliver the project at the allocated time.
You have to do detailed feasibility. That's what you are going to give to investors for them to be able to look at the numbers and see what level of investment needs to. So it's in our master plan, and so we have not ticked it up, and which I've approved. And we're also looking at the port. The airport. We have a layout for a small airport, right, for the whole of this population here. That also is receiving consideration as we speak.
At the completion of the project currently underway at the Lekki Free Trade Zone, the economic advantages for Lagos are boundless. But it's not just for Lagos. The entire continent and Nigeria at large will all benefit from the work taking place in that zone. And until next time, I'm Wilson Omoni, and this is Lagos.